And as I was saying earlier, we do have some precedent here in California for that. We have the market development grants and payments. I know you're going to hear from some other people who are doing some programs, that have been around for a while. But the ones that I'm most familiar with are the DOR's market development grants. Now, they have awarded $25 million in grants out of the DOR, which is out of the unredeemed deposit fund, and only $14 million of it has been spent. So it was an idea that was a good idea, but it is less successful than they had hoped, that we had all hoped. And why is that? Well, that's because something you hear often, government is really not that good at picking the winners, and that's what a grant program does, is it picks the winners. And that program has not been as successful as it could have been. Now, don't get me wrong, it has helped a lot. There's no question. There are a number of facilities in this state now that would not be here if it weren't for that grant program. But in my opinion, the program that is even better is the plastic market development payment program, okay? So what that program does is it pays California businesses to convert scrap, California scrap, and then turn it into a new product in California, okay? So it has to be California-generated scrap, it has to be converted here in California, and it has to be turned into a new product here in California. That program has been extremely successful, and it is rewarding those companies that are doing that for doing the right thing. And what it has done is it allows those companies to be competitive with the Chinese so that they can get that scrap and convert it, and they can compete with the Chinese and do it at a price that is creating jobs. That program has helped to sustain over 750 jobs, 6 different processing facilities around the state, and multiple manufacturing facilities that use this material. Unfortunately, the statutory authority to continue that program expires at the end of this year, but there is legislation to extend it, AB 1149, if anybody is interested, and hopefully that will pass. It so far has not had any opposition, so we hope to continue it. But it's just an example of the kind of program that can be successful and allow business to pick the winners instead of government. So I think we've proven that investments in collection and processing of recyclables, and just as importantly, maybe more so, the public policies that favor recycling and reuse support large private sector investments in downstream manufacturing and processing. Recycling's environmental promise, that karma, is matched by its ability to grow jobs and business and strengthen the overall economy by that capital. So it doesn't have to be cash or karma, it can be both. Or capital or karma, it can be both. And California is really situated to be a leader now in this. There are a lot of people who are just starting to look at this issue. Again, those reports we've been seeing over and over again. And we were a leader back in the 1989 with diversion. So let's be a leader in looking at this issue and find a way to keep the material here and create the jobs here. So thank you very much for inviting me. I don't know how much time we have. I'm happy to answer questions if people have them. We do have time? Or? Okay. Does anybody have any questions? Was that boring or brilliant? One or the other. Yes. Yes, I am, CIW is as well. A number of organizations are. It's AB 1149. It has passed the Assembly. It has passed the Senate Environmental Quality, and right now it's in appropriations. Like I said, it hasn't had any opposition, which is a great thing, but they're kind of tinkering with it right now, I think, to make it a little more effective. But I hopefully, if you hear anything about it, I strongly recommend your support, because it is a very effective program. Yes?
Can we make PET bottles in California? Is there any reason that we couldn't?
Well, there is a facility that is being built right now. There are actually two facilities that can convert into bottle grade. One is Peninsula Recycling. It's not far from here. And they have a solid state unit, so they can make bottle grade material. At the moment, they are getting their approvals to go to food contact bottles, and that should happen hopefully soon. Then there's a second facility that's being built in Southern California, Carbon Light, and their entire business plan is built around going bottle to bottle from beverages to beverages. So yes, we can and we are, and we will. Any other questions? Yes?
I was just wondering what you're hearing from processors that are sending materials, what feedback they're getting. I understand what you're talking about.
Yeah. So the question was, what are other people hearing as far as feedback from China? The big thing I think that's starting to change is that it's getting more expensive to process over there as they implement these policies that of energy efficiency, and as the economy improves. I went over there 5 times in the last 4 years to try to learn what happens to the plastic we're sending over there, because I wanted to make sure we weren't doing something really terrible, and we're not, for the most part. I mean, for the most part, it's all being recycled. And it actually isn't being sent back to us. That's one of those myths. But they are using it for their internal consumers, because it makes affordable products for they don't have as much money as we do. So they send us the virgin stuff and they get the recycled. But anyway, what I'm hearing is that it's harder to get people to do these jobs. You know, right now, a lot of their sorting is hand sorting. For example, the big bales of film we send over there, someone takes those apart and goes through each piece, and if it's clear film, they cut off the labels, they cut off the printing, by hand with the scissors, and then they recycle it. Okay, so you cannot sustain that type of human manpower when your cost of people is rising, and that is what is happening. So the first thing I'm hearing is that they're getting more and more particular about the quality. And it used to be that, if someone created a bale of junky material, China will take it, they'll take anything. Yeah? And there's still a certain aspect of that that's left over, unfortunately, because there are some unscrupulous people in this world that have taken advantage of that. But what we're finding is that they're getting more organized in China among themselves. It's not like us. Here, the recycling industry is, we have maybe thousands, right? Okay, they have tens and hundreds of thousands of businesses, small businesses that do this in China. The plastic recycling alone is tens and tens of thousands of businesses. But they're getting themselves more organized. The central government is trying to get them more in line with environmental and personnel practices. And there's more communication going. And so we're not going to be able to send our crap over there anymore. And we shouldn't be sending it over there. When we send them recyclable materials, they recycle it. They are not that good that they can recycle our crap. They can't do it either. We can't do it, they can't do it. So I'm sure the one of the good things about that is that the domestic industry's problem of staying afloat. Another paper mill in Oregon went out of business this year. I think that makes at least 3 in the last 2 years. Because they couldn't deal with all the junk that was coming out of the MRFs. Now, if you're a MRF operator, don't get mad at me, because I know it's not the MRF's fault, okay? The MRFs are doing the best they can under the circumstances that they're given. You have people that will buy this material, but this is part of that broken system I was telling you about. Our system is broken. When I first got in this industry, the public sector was very involved with quality. If someone created a bale that got rejected, oh my God, you'd have the city recycling coordinator down at the, what's going on, what happened, you know? And I was talking to a wonderful MRF operator up in Oregon recently who's been in this industry longer than me, and that's saying something, who said, God, he goes, now the only question the public sector asks me is, how much money am I going to get? Now, so now you think I'm shifting the blame onto the public sector, and to a certain extent, yes, but again, you have these parameters that we're working with, and I was so excited when I read about this summit, is that one of the things it says is we are going to have to make some fundamental changes to our system if we want to move beyond where we are today, because we're stuck. And we're stuck with a system where MRFs are being overtaxed and asked to do too much, so the quality is bad. Public sector is being asked, using this as a way to make money, but really doesn't have any control, and the quality is dropping, and therefore we're sending more stuff overseas. It's a spiral downward, and we need to stop it and start spiraling up again. So that was a long answer, sorry. I don't know if anybody has any other questions, or... All right, thank you very much.
So there lies the opportunity, right? There's challenges out there, and we have folks in the room. It doesn't matter what political party you're affiliated with. This is economics. How can we work together, public and private, to create jobs and opportunities? So that segues perfectly into our next session, which is our panel discussion.